Good morning, everybody. My name's Richard Spencer. I'm from the UK. I didn't vote for Brexit, so please be kind to me. And very industrial part of the country. My hometown is a place called Billingham. And being a biology teacher, if you want to locate Billingham on the map, is very easy. If you imagine Great Britain to be a human body, it's kind of in the armpit. And that's how you can find it. Here's Billingham in the winter. It's a very industrial town, chemical industry. Billingham in the summer. Billingham at night. Some people think it looks better at night. And Billingham, just for nearly last piece of information, inspired Aldous Huxley to write Brave New World. And I don't know if you'll know this actor in Poland, but Billingham does have a very famous actor's son. Anyone know who he is? Jamie Bell from Billy Elliot. Jamie was due to come to the college I was teaching at, and I took the phone call from his mother to say that he was going somewhere else. Hollywood. And I think it's a real shame because he may have enjoyed biology lessons at my college. So I've been teaching since 1992. I know you don't think I look old enough. And when I started teaching, it was the days of the locked filing cabinet, and nobody shared anything. And now things are so different because we have the internet, and it's very difficult not to share things, and sometimes as teachers, we're overwhelmed with the amount of help that's out there. I teach 16 to 18-year-olds, and these are the various courses that I've taught on. I'm now head of science at my college and teach mainly A-level biology. When I went into teaching, when I first decided to teach, I asked my A-level biology teacher, and A-level is what students aged 16 to 18 study before going to university. And I'll never forget his words because he said, "It'll stick in your teeth after a few years." And I think what he meant is that as teachers we can become very bored with what we're teaching. But talking about boredom, as Yolanta was talking about, I've really strived through my career to try and remember that every time I teach a lesson, it's the first time for those students, even if it's the 100th time for me. This is what my tutor on my PGCE trainer course said: make sure your students have good notes and good memories. I'm not too sure how we develop good memories. Which was better than the advice for my A-level chemistry teacher, which was, keep one page ahead in the book. Which I did. I've had lots of advice since, and I'm sure in Poland, as in the UK, we have lots and lots of training courses, lots and lots of advice. Learning styles is very interesting because there are actually 75 different learning styles, apparently, or 75 different ways of assessing it. And a big report came out a few years ago from Durham University, which says there's actually no evidence for any of it, which I think is interesting. And something else towards the bottom called Brain Gym, again, that's largely been discredited. Now, I use movement a lot in my teaching, and I don't do it because I believe in kinesthetic learning. I do it actually to relieve boredom, to find different ways of learning. So I'm going to address two questions in my presentation today. What's the best advice I've had, and what's the best training I've had as a teacher? Well, the best advice actually came from two students who had completed their biology course, and they gave me a book of poems by a poet called Spike Milligan, and in the front they put thanks, notice the genuine spelling to prove it's a student, thanks for making biology lessons such fun, turn to page 121. And there in the book was a poem called A-Levels by Spike Milligan. Oops, I am going to show you it. Those energy-wrought children, their limbs loaded into school desks. In the shadows they are fed algebra, science, syntax. Outside the ignorant are laughing and playing in the sun. And I thought that was such an indictment of education. And really I've strived to change that in my own lessons. So I decided to do a student survey, and I surveyed my 60 students and asked them 2 very simple questions. What makes a good lesson and what doesn't? And for what makes a good lesson, I got 150 comments back. I must have been really bored this weekend because I decided to categorize the comments. And I could categorize the comments under these headings: structure, enthusiasm, knowledge, variety, atmosphere, interaction, and fun. And I want you to think which one came out with the highest score. So I'm going to ask you to vote and put your hands up. How many think structure scored the highest? Oh, nobody. Enthusiasm? About 10. Knowledge? Oh, we have 1, 2. Variety? About 15. Atmosphere? Oh, quite a lot for that. Can't count that many. About 30. Interaction? Again, about the same. And fun? Oh, I think fun might have won it. Variety actually came out top. Knowledge? 0. So I think they assume either teachers know everything or nothing. Structure and enthusiasm and interaction, atmosphere, all scored fairly highly. And fun was towards the bottom, which really, really surprised me. But I think that may be due to the fact that the students I teach are heading for university, they need those exam results, and if you put fun in without some learning, they see through it and think it's a little bit of a waste of time. So variety seems to come out top. There were 3 comments about colouring in as being a good way of learning. So sometimes we colour in. What doesn't? Copying, dictation, listening, and being talked at for long periods of time. Because basically students switch off, and if they've switched off, they're not learning. So I've aimed for diversity in my teaching. This is just some of the many things that we do. So we do simulations. This is genetic crosses at the top, in the top left. This on the top right is I ask students to come up with a creative way of learning about the structure of a cell. And one of my students baked me a lovely cake with icing on the top of the cell structure. We go on biology tours. So we actually go through the college to learn about the digestive system or to learn about the kidney. We do lots of field work, dissection, modelling, projects. And Jack and the Beanstalk is actually a video about feeding relationships told through a pantomime story. So lots and lots of variety. But I'm going to actually focus on song and dance, which perhaps isn't the thing you generally find in a biology lesson. I can't go through all of these. I'm keeping a little surprise at the end because you will actually be doing one of these. It's very difficult to dance in this space. Obviously, you're all seated. But we do lots and lots of different things, songs, poems, to help students remember. Okay. I'm going to pick 2 of those out for you today, one of which I'll show you the students doing, and for the second, you will actually have a go yourself, I hope. So, DNA structure. Students can make models, they can read about it in textbooks, but to me, it doesn't really get inside their heads. So what I decided to do was actually get the students to be part of a DNA molecule, to also study the different parts, and to become part of the DNA double helix. It's called the DNA Boogie, and it's a lot of fun, and I'm going to play it for you now. So if we could have the video, please. If you feel like joining in, you can do. Introducing the DNA Boogie. We have our nucleotides, adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. Let's see the nucleotide pause. Phosphate, sugar, base, nucleotide, phosphate, sugar, base, nucleotide. Sing it. Phosphate, sugar, base, nucleotide. Phosphate, sugar, base, nucleotide. Let's see you moving around the nucleotides. So the students are separate nucleotides. The different colours represent the different types.
Anti-parallel lines.
And they're going to form the double helix structure, the two lines.
Nucleotide pulse, phosphate, sugar, base, nucleotide, phosphate, sugar, base, nucleotide. Now the nucleotides are going to join by condensation. Let's form the phosphodiester bonds.
So the phosphate's joining with the sugar in front. You can't see that too well on the video.
Bonds show how the nucleotides join. Okay, but release again. Let's shout it out this time. Phosphate, sugar, base, nucleotide, phosphate, sugar, base, nucleotide.
And the two strands joined by hydrogen bonding.
Between the nucleotides. Adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, thymine, adenine, guanine, cytosine. Let's see the nucleotide pose again. Get ready. Okay, so notice the anti-parallel lines on the helix. And phosphate, sugar, base, nucleotide. Now forming double helix.
And this is where they form the double helix. Now, a student actually came up with this idea because I couldn't think how to show it. But you'll see that they're holding hands and forming the shape.
Complementary base pairing. Let's show off that helix. Spin it.
Okay, thank you. I think you get the idea of how they can do that. So that's what the students were being, nucleotides, forming the single strands, forming the double helix. And you know what? I don't know if you noticed, but the two strands run in opposite directions. And it isn't until the students actually try and form the lines and try and join to each other that they see why that's the case. So it's very, very useful. Now, last October I was in Denmark and I did some teacher training about use of song and dance in science teaching. And one of the more cynical teachers there actually took the ideas back to his school and came up with studying protein synthesis through movement. But I would like to share this with you. This is what somebody wrote in as a newspaper article. Sorry about the swearing. At the risk of being accused of being an old reactionary bastard, I must confess that I find it hard to take this seriously. I've no doubt that it's been a good experience for both teachers and students, and I'm very much in favour of movement, dance and drama in school. I am quite sure you learn something very valuable when using these disciplines, but the notion that a more diligent and at least violently much more time-consuming use of them should be able to lift the natural sciences in general in elementary school seems to be me really far out. The worst thing is that a story like this will certainly be used in the propaganda for the most insane reform in Danish school history. And I'm part of it. But can I just say in defense of this that actually it doesn't take very long to do these things. And it adds to the lesson. And if you've reached a point where you've covered so much theory that the students aren't learning, this reinvigorates them. It really does. So I'm very lucky in receiving lots of teaching awards through my crazy use of teaching. I won't go through all of them, but I was named as one of the UK's top scientists in 2014, which was quite amazing. And in 2014, I also reached the final 50 for the Global Teacher Prize. Don't know how I got there. I did actually get to the final 10 and got to go to Dubai. I was invited to the Vatican to meet the Pope and Bill Clinton in Dubai as well. And I didn't win the $1 million prize. I will be sitting on a beach somewhere now. But these are the top 10 finalists, and it's great to see Marita from Finland, who was one of this year's top 10 finalists. And we're all doing such different things, and it just shows how powerful education is, okay? It develops so many different skills and so much learning. So I hope I've answered the first question. The best advice I've ever had is listen to your learners. I know I've had lots of training, but I think what's influenced me the most is the responses I get from the young people and seeing what works for them and what doesn't. And the best training I've had is actually to be a learner yourself, because you're never the finished article. About 3 years ago, I was invited to join a group they called Diversity, and they won a talent show in the UK called Britain's Got Talent. They are street dancers, basically, and I joined a group that had to learn to street dance in a week. I could still do some of the moves, but I was terrible. I found it the most difficult thing I have ever done in my life. And on day 2, when I couldn't get up from the floor, everything's so fast, I told, and this was all on television, Sky One, I said, I can't do this. It's too difficult. And then I had to think, why was I finding it so difficult? And the reason I was finding it so difficult is I was a naughty student. I didn't go home and do my homework and practice the moves like everybody else. I just thought it was a bit of a laugh, a bit of fun. And it made me really think what it is like for students in my biology lessons who are listening to a lesson and are really, really demotivated. And I share that story with my students because I say it's important sometimes to be out of your comfort zone and learning something new. So, it is time for you to be out of your comfort zone. One of the problems with biology is it has its own language. And the words that are in the language are not used an awful lot. You know, you don't hear students saying uracil, adenine, thymine. And I thought what I'd like to do is get those words into a song to make it easy for the students to learn. Okay? And there are some actions to go with it. The actions are very easy to learn. They are adenine, if you can join in, adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine, uracil. Well done. Would you like to try and say the words as well? Okay? So here we go. Adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine, uracil. Has anyone guessed what the song is yet?
YMCA?
No, it's much older than that. So this is a song actually about how DNA in the nucleus is made into, or is copied onto another molecule called messenger RNA. A is swapped for a C. Oh, got it wrong. A for a T, C for a G, T for an A, but A for a U. It has to be U, uracil U. Would you like to stand up to do it? Would that be easier? Yes, I think we'll stand up. Could we have the music, please? Stand up. It has to be you, uracil U. Thymine T is DNA C. It just wouldn't do. In mRNA, adenine A. cytosine C, guanine G, but uracil U. Transcription must be an A for a T, a C for a G, a G for a C, but U for an A. This bit's fast. ACGT in DNA. mRNA is ACGU. So give me a thrill. Uracil. It had to be you. Okay, this is what's going on. Don't sit down yet. We're in the nucleus. There's our DNA. And we unzip part of the double helix. Now for transcription. An enzyme called RNA polymerase is making the copy. An A for a T. A G for a C. A C for a G. But what comes next? Uracil U. So there's one last little bit, just to finish off. Get ready for the final bit. Oh, hang on. Wait. It had to be you. Uracil U. Thiamine T is DNA C. It just wouldn't do. In mRNA, adenine A. Cytosine C, guanine G, but uracil U. ACGT in DNA. mRNA is ACGU. So give me a thrill. Let's see the uracil. Uracil. It had to be you. You've done very well. Thank you.